there. Yo, what's going on, you guys? It's your boy 3 Stacks in this thing, baby. Take 2. Representing Team Kings of Games, and today I'm coming at you guys with my updated CHERUBINI deck. It's 60 card CHERUBINIs. You guys know I love my 60 card decks. I'm really hyped about NEEDLFIBER coming out. Can't wait for the card to come out because it actually does a lot more for its own deck than it can do for any other deck, in my opinion. I really do. It does like 3 to 4 different things in this deck. Like, most people are using it to just like spam links and do degenerate stuff, but like in this deck, it's so fair but still so powerful. It's like the most CHERUBINI NEEDLFIBER is the most balanced in its own deck. In other decks, it can be degenerate and be ban-worthy, but in this deck, it's like you can't really hate on the card. I can't wait for that card to come out because this deck is I already have my list built for when NEEDLFIBER comes out. So essentially, this deck is very consistent, it's very explosive, and it is CHERUBINI NEEDLFIBER Turbo. I'm trying to turbo out NEEDLFIBER and CHERUBINI as quickly as possible. No matter what the composition of my hand is, if it can make one or two of those cards, I can go anywhere with this deck. The sky is the limit. I can literally spam Link 4s. I can put out, Kyoto Waterfront boards, which is one of my favorite engines in this deck, is the Waterfront engine. It's so good. Like, this deck's just very resilient. Surprisingly, like, tier 2 material, even though people sleeping on it. All it's going to need is for enough people to realize how good it is. It's a bit difficult to pilot. It does have a learning curve, and it requires a bit of skill and not just like net decking and just flat out copy paste. You got to actually play the deck in real life to figure it out. Nobody can do that work for you. You have to really do the work. So if you don't want to test it in real life and you just want to copy paste, I recommend just like Trick Stars, True Dracos, Salamagrates, Linear Simplicity. Those decks you can just do that and you don't have to learn anything. You just pick them up, play them. But this deck takes time. It took me a lot of time to get this down and patent it to where I can play this deck without messing up because it's really difficult to pilot, like I said. But I'm going to get into the profile, you guys. I'm very happy with this list. I'm just super hyped for NEEDLFIBER. This is one of my top 5 favorites. My favorites right now, well, they're probably always going to be my top 5 favorites. It's Herald of Perfection, Zephrys, Galaxy Photons, Shadows, and then CHRYSTRONs. Those are my 5 favorite decks. Like, they're just so disgusting. Like, I have a top 10, but top 5, those are it. So let's go ahead and get into the list, you guys. It's super spicy, very explosive, and it, like, when you play against Danger Thunder, you know that extender dot deck. This is like an extender dot deck, but it has a ton of starters. It's very resilient, and it just pushes. It just pushes. Testing, I pretend like I'm playing through so many interruptions, like the best ones, and I'm like, it can just push. Like, it just pushes through so much stuff. Nibiru, like Ash, Ogre, just so many interruptions. It's so good, going first or second. And it puts up very good turn 1 boards, like tier 2 or above material. So let's get into the list, you guys. And I do have a PayPal and a Patreon. I would greatly appreciate it if you guys just took the time out of your day to donate to any one of them. A penny helps. Imagine how many pennies, if everybody give a penny, imagine what I can do with this channel. Like, I wouldn't even be recording with this phone right now. I'll be recording with like a professional camera. But anyways, starting with the list, we have 3 copies of Sophephonir. This card is amazing in this deck. It's so disgusting. It's a starter when you use it, or an extender when you use it, but after you use it one time, it's always a recovery play. It's a follow-up. As long as it stays in your graveyard, it's of course going to bait call by. People are just going to want to call by it left and right because it's so broken. It really is. As long as it stays in your graveyard, it will reward you after turn 1. You can draw bricks like Impact, top deck Impact. Ooh, it's a trap. I got to wait a turn. Nah, just discard it, summon this, combo off. This card just so good. It is the best CHRYSTRON. I wish I could play 30 of this. But my deck is very consistent getting access to this. CHERUBINI gets access to this. NEEDLFIBER gets access to this. It's so good. We have, I'm sorry, no, NEEDLFIBER doesn't access that. I need to slow my road. CHERUBINI gets access to this, and then this gets access to NEEDLFIBER. That's what I meant to say. Because this can summon a CHRYSTRON tuner from your deck to make NEEDLFIBER. So I just worded my verbiage incorrectly before somebody tries to hammer me with that. But we have 3 copies of Fistfern. So if you didn't know, every CHRYSTRON has an on-field effect. To target a physical card you control, destroy it in special CHRYSTRON tuner from the deck. For the rest of the turn, you can only summon from your extra deck synchro machine types from your extra deck. Your main deck, it's fine. You can still spam from your main deck whatever you want, but if you go into your extra deck, you can only synchro and it can only be machine types. So that's something you want to save for last, but typically you want to use the graveyard effect. It searches a CHRYSTRON monster. And then CHRYSTRON Smiger searches for your spells and traps. We only have traps right now. Crystallic Potential is not a CHRYSTRON card. It says Crystallic Potential. This card's nuts. Like, Smiger is where the grind game is. Because you're using this for Smiger anyway. Smiger gets you Impact. Impact is like one of the best cards to grind with this deck. So good. And Impact also lets you make the Trishula, the Carrion Quandrax, and Black Rose plays on your opponent's turn, because you typically end on Citry, Citry summon Turtle, Turtle for Quandax, then you impact for a level 3, and then you sync. Or you can just go even more spammy. If you started your combo with Undyne, it'll be Undyne, Quandax, then you can impact for any tuner you want, like Rion, for example, and then bam. Carry on Quandax, or just go straight into Trish. It's so good. This deck is really powerful, and it catches so many people off guard, yo. Like, dude, people get bodied by this deck. Like, high key, you have to respect it or you lose. 3 turtles. I love Turtle. His on-field effect is what's most important. You have to think of it like when you're playing Thunders and Orcus. You get 3 to 4 activations, right? With this deck, you have 5 activations. You have Sulfefinir, Thisfern, Smiger, Turtle, and also Rosenix. You have 5 activations for your comboing off. You're ending on your CHERUBINI tuners because they make the magic. They make Quandax. They let you summon generics off of Quandax. And if not, you just use these to summon cards like Dawn, Dragster, and a Matrix and Machine type synchros. But normally you just use them to tune into Quandax so you can make generics like Black Rose, Trishula, etc. And this is the card I want to save for that activation, because you get one of the 2 effects. You get either the graveyard effect or the on-field effect. And Turtle's graveyard effect is just special CHERUBINI from hand. You only use that when you need to, but if you don't have to, I recommend you don't do it, because you just want to save this on-field activation as the one that you choose. Because I love using Rosenix's graveyard effect, I love using Smiger's grave effect, and Thisfern's grave effect. So what you have to do is use Parsa Turtle as the on-field activation so that you can access your tuners. With NEEDLFIBER coming out, you can be more reckless and burn all the grave activations, because NEEDLFIBER can just summon the tree from your deck, because that's what it does for its archetype. It actually plays very well in this deck. So then you could be reckless, but right now with NEEDLFIBER still not being legal, you have to play it that way. You just got to be a little bit conservative and don't just burn all the activations being crazy. Like, just because you can doesn't mean you have to. That's one of the best pieces of advice you can get playing this deck. Don't do it because you can. Do it when you have to, okay? And I played 2 Rosenix so that if you hard draw one, you can still dump it from your deck for your combos. Like, Undyne is one of them. Summoning it from decks, also Sulfefinir. It just, you need it at least one in deck for combos. So you just want to be careful. Like, so if you draw one, you still have another. If you burn one, you still have another. You don't want to play 3 because it's not as great, but these are all 1-card synchros. Like, you can normal this, pop it, summon Rion, and you know, I mean pop it and summon Citry. That's like a 1-card synchro. Depending on what you play in your extra deck, you can make like Powered Zectron. This can be a 1-card Quandax. This can be a 1-card Matrix, 1-card Matrix. So even if you brick, these are still 1-card synchros if you play the right levels for the synchros in your extra deck. And so mainly these are just your combo pieces. You're using these to gain resources and advantage, and you can just grind it out with Smiger and Thisfern. Impact gets them back so you can just keep looping them. And what you're normally ending on is one of the tuners. They make, like I said, they make the magic happen. Citry is probably the best one, but unfortunately the longevity lies in Rion. Rion allows you to put itself back into the main deck so that you do have valid targets, because you can't resolve the on-field effect unless you have a tuner in the deck to summon. So gotta be careful with that. Make sure that you keep a Rion to activate so that you can keep recycling it, because you will burn through Citrys pretty fast. You can bring them back off the banish zone off impact, because it does banish itself and the material you synchro with. So then when you run out of Citrys, impact can bring it back so you can keep spamming. And then we also play 1 copy of Quan. Rich homie Quan, baby! Because he's a level 1, and also he lets you Formula Synchron just like the rest of them. These let you Synchro on your opponent's main phase or battle phase into machine types. But you want to summon Quandax because he's a level 4 that does the same exact thing these do, except you can make any Synchro, so then you can Black Rose, Trish, etc. You know, so it's really important. And also for entry combos, because I play CHERUBINI entry, there's just too much that this deck can do. If you guys want to see CHERUBINI content, I already have tons. I really do. I already have tons. All you have to do is just look it up on my channel. I've done build-a-board workshops. I've done test hands and combo tutorials, even an infinite negate combo tutorial. So please don't do that. Can we get a combo video after the deck profile? I already did those for you. The only new combos that will happen, the only new combos this deck's going to get is when NEEDLFIBER actually comes out. Then I'm going to update the combo tutorial. But other than that, I just want you guys to just do that little footwork for yourself. Just search it on your phone and watch it. I already have all the stuff. Like everything I'm talking about, I've already done this on camera to show you guys the deck does what I say it does. So now for starters, those are your CHERUBINI monsters. It's really important to max out on a lot of these. And just having a CHERUBINI card in hand is really good, because any hand that makes Cherubini can just combo off, because typically Cherubini dumps Thisfern searches Sulfefinir, and in order to trigger his effect, all you need is a CHERUBINI card. So if you have a hand that makes Cherubini with even like Quan, let's say this is the only CHERUBINI card in your hand, you can combo off, because you pitch this for Sulfefinir and go all the way off. Sulfefinir specials from deck, you just keep going. Undyne is literally a 1-card Cherubini or NEEDLFIBER. So you're going to see a trend with the starters and extenders in this deck that they're very multi-purpose. They can do more than one thing. This is a 1-card Cherubini. When Needlefiber comes out, it's a 1-card Needlefiber. It's insane. And even if you don't need it to just do like a 1-card combo, if your hand's good enough to make those, you just use it to dump cards like SOOOO and this firm to just get more value and just plus heavily off of this card. So it's just so good. But Undyne, just one of the best starters in the deck. Mathman would be Scrap Recycler if I had Scrap Recycler. This is not as good Recycler. Just because Recycler can send SOOOO, it's better. Because the only way this can access SOOOO is if you burn this burn. And you don't want to always do that, because if you don't have access to Smiger, then you're going to have to use the SOOOO to summon the Smiger. And then that means you don't really have a way to access your tuners unless you like RNG into a turtle. But when Needlefiber comes out, then it doesn't even matter. But definitely just play Recycler, because you can even play Scrap Wyvern and Golem. That's what I want to do. I want to get Golem and Scrap Wyvern just to make me even more combos. This deck's just so combo-centric, but at the same time, it can play mid-range, conservative, and just play control. That's what's the beauty of it. It's like a double-edged sword. But Mathman is very similar to Undyne. It's dumping your CHERUBINIs. And then for more starters, I play 3 righty drivers. And then these are the engine requirements. You play 2 lefties and 1 Gen X controller. So this is how you actually resolve the Undyne. Like just you have to play it. But it's actually not really a brick. It's a normal monster, so any hand that can get to Rosenix, you can make Link Spider. Link Spider specials this out. And then if you have a level 3 extender, you can make Cherubini, or you can just use this in the Link Spider to make the Needlefiber. That's why this is a 1-card Needlefiber. It's really busted. And lefty driver is just an engine requirement. You use righty to summon lefty. You can make like Needlefiber with this 1 card, or if you have an extender, you make Cherubini. It's just really good, and this is a self-replacing engine, so I like my starters. I played 9 starters. Other cards can be, depending on the composition of your hand, they could be starters, but these are intended to be starters. They can extend your plays too, but their intention is starters. So you have 9. And then extenders, you got one of the cutest extenders ever. I showed this first because it's the cutest, Sea Archiver. It's also a valid Cherubini target so that you can spam even more. If you open the targets you needed to dump off Cherubini, you don't need them anymore, this is just more value. So Cherubini just has, it never really runs out of targets in this deck. We played 3 copies of Gallus the Star Beast. It's an incredible Cherubini turbo card. And when you sack any CHRYSTRON monsters off of this, you just get added value. Like, if you sack SOOOO, Thisfern, or Smiger off of this, then that's 1 less activation. You have to burn for like Cherubini or even like the Gen X Undyne. And then I also played 3 copies of Defrag, because it can put a CHRYSTRON card you need engraved and also commit a level 3 for you to make Cherubini. Very similar algorithm to Warriors. You just want to turbo out Isoul. Well, this deck just wants to turbo out Cherubini, because even Cherubini itself can make Needlefiber. Because you can just dump the Steam the Cloak. Steam the Cloak can make Needlefiber. Best extender in the deck, Chronograph Sorcerer. This card's nutty. It literally is a starter too, because it makes Cherubini, but also whenever you use any CHRYSTRON effect or even SOOOO, you pop a card you control, you trigger this, special it in something from your hand, Link Climb or Synchro Climb. This card's just, it's disgusting in this deck. It really is broken. And it's a perfect bait for Ash. Like, it's a bait for so many interruptions. And this is the first card you activate. Ooh, he's playing Pendulums. It's so good, you guys. It really, really is. Now, next up, we have 2 copies of Steam the Cloak. I would play 3 if I had 3, but I only have 2. This card's just really good. Needlefiber is coming out. That's why I'm playing 2. I basically made my list ready for when Needlefiber comes out. So I'm not changing my main deck when Needlefiber comes out. It's just the extra deck's going to change. This card's just good. You guys already know. But also, because you make Cherubini very consistently in this deck, you can dump this off Cherubini and it turns into Needlefiber. So just like your turbo cards are so multi-purpose, they can make so many different things. Instead of just making Isoul for Warriors, for example, you can make like Cherubini or Needlefiber. Another example is Arborea can make Cherubini or Needlefiber. And then I also played the Reclusia. I want to bump it up because when you make Cherubini or when you have this engraved, this is just a free pop and you just keep the body so that you can still make like another Link play or Synchro play. And I love the fact that this is a tuner, so Arborea is just amazing. You definitely want to play her and at least one of these because it's just really nice. This should be Psychic Willaders, but I just sold them. Like I sold them when they were hot, so I definitely need to pick them back up because this is very similar to Arborea. It's a extender for Cherubini or Needlefiber, but also it's easier to get out. You need a Link for this, but with these you just need a level 3. And I do take in 1 Mooling Glacier. It's surprisingly really good in this deck. It's easy to pull off. I'm just really experimenting with this. I love it. It hasn't really failed me so far, and I don't even care if I draw it mid to late game. Then it's really live. It's just going to catch you off guard, but I really like this card. I want to play 3, but I only have 1. And now I'm still playing my Waterfront package. 3 Waterfronts and Gamma Seal. It's just busted. Infinite negates, because you put out Impact, and then you have a way to Synchro. So you're literally, when you make a Waterfront board with Like just typically, if it's just minimalistically just the Skull Dread, Gamma Steel, a couple other Crystron cards, you can still put 3 to 4 counters onto this because you synchro. If you can synchro twice, you're gonna reset all 5 counters. So it's really just like you negate an entire hand just with Gamma Steel. And the beauty is when you end on a Waterfront board, they can't even kaiju you because you have Gamma Steel. But just be careful because Waterfront can be used against you if they have their own kaiju. But they would have to special it from their hand, you know, and then use the Waterfront. So it would work like that. So just be careful. That's the only time Waterfront can punish you is if somebody has a kaiju. But it does protect you from being kaiju'd. And Gamma Steel is just infinite negates. It's just really disgusting. You want to summon it in D, use Skull Dread to boost it to 33, so it's really just like, it's really strong. And it just adds layers and layers to protection, and that's like a really optimal turn 1 board, just Gamma Steel alone with Waterfront and Impact, because you can typically just stop a whole turn with 3 Omni Negate and Banishes. And then Foolish, the ultimate utility. For traps, I play 3 Impact. You need 3 personally for me so I can grind longer. The more impacts you play, the longer you can grind. You need it also for your combos so that you can synchro into bigger synchros in your opponent's turn. And then also entry is just so disgusting. It gives you follow-ups, it lets you combo off. It's so good, you guys. You can dump any Crystron from your deck to the grave to just change the level of a Crystron on the field. That's why I like Rich Homie Quan, because when you have, like, for example, at this turn, you can make it a level 1 so that you can synchro with it and the Rion into the Quan deck so that you can make generic synchro. So it's just so good. Entry's broken. It really is. And that's his graveyard effect. On activation, it's even better. You special a tuner from hand and 1 from grave. It's so good. And this is coming in the extra deck when NEEDLFIBER comes out. But for right now, this is the extra deck. We've got Oppo. It's too easy to make. It's free. You just always make it. Every hand can make it, really. If you brick, you have to draw like 3 impacts and 2 tuners. Skull Dread for the Gamma Steel. I don't make Skull Dread unless I have Waterfront. And then we have CHERUBINI. Shout out to James. He did send me an English one. I think the Japanese ones is sexier. When I play this deck at other events, I have to play the English one because you can't play Japanese. So I'm grateful that he sent me that so that I can actually play this deck without the Japanese CHERUBINI. But I just like the Japanese one. It's sexy. Link Spider is just here for the combos. It's just mandatory. It's really good. Because Rosenix, these are the synchros of choice. So these are my level 9s. This card's busted when you play Dinos too, because you can banish their conductor with this during their battle phase. So miscellaneous doesn't even matter because you can synchro in your battle phase. You can just hold your impact and then do it that way. Banish their conductor, pop this off of Crystron, and then special summon their banished conductor. That's one of numerous examples. This special summons any banished monster. So the monsters you banished off of it, if they were properly summoned, you can revive them off this. So this, I look at it like a Snatch Steal or like a Monster Reborn kind of, because you pick what you banish and obviously you pick what you get back. So I don't really ever special my own banished monsters off this. I typically get what I banished from my opponent. This card's broken. And Trish is Trish. And then Vermilion actually helps you to bait even more interruptions so that you can like bait and negate and destroy like Jackal King and still get something back off of it. And it can swing too. So like you can swing over one Jackal King, pop the other one, negate, destroy. Okay, effect, add a tuner, and then you can just keep playing. So it just helps you to grind. And then we have Omega. I'm sorry, is this just... This, I regret playing Warlord Savage in the past in this deck. Omega's better. Omega's just a million times better because like interacting with your banish pile is just so important in this deck. Omega's just better. Like if you don't care about your grind game, play Savage, absolutely. But I care so much about my grind game because I don't want this deck to just get blown out and I'd be like, oh, I have no follow-ups. I play mid-range, but I still heavy combo off when I need to because some decks you just have to put out that Gamma Steel board. I play Double Dawn Drag. It's a good meta call. This could be 1 and a Samurai Destroyer. And Samurai Destroyer theoretically can just bring something back, you know, and you can still float and grind out better. But because Spirals and Shaddolls are like really good, and also Salman Greats, they do need spells and traps to go off sometimes. This is just a good meta call. You can actually summon 2 of these on your opponent's turn. Bless you. And then Black Rose, when you play combo, this helps you to go second. It's really easy to make, even with like, for example, Gallus, normal summon Arborea. Make it, pitch some Crystron's, bounce, you know, clear field. Then we have a Matrix. It just helps you to grind so you can survive OTKs. You normally just synchro to this. This dies. You special Citrus. Citrus summons this. This dies. You special, you know, something else. And then you normally, if that wasn't enough, then you would use one of these floats to go into Sophefinir. Sophefinir from grave, and then it dies. It special summons, like, for example, Rion. And then Rion can tune into one of these. So it just, like, helps you. Like Yang Zings or Cosmos, you just keep floating to protect you from getting OTK'd. But also, this card actually does disrupt plays. And if people aren't smart enough, you can stop Borosword plays because you can change the monsters to defense before they get a chance to change it to defense. Like, it's really good. Like, if you see that they have it, you can just do that. But that's if it's there. But it's really not there for that purpose. It's there for more than that. And then we also have the Herald of the Arclight. It would be 2 Quandacks, but this is just an auto win against some decks. Some decks just can't deal with that. When it's protected by negations and cards where you can synchro summon into bigger synchros. Like, I want to play Zeta too, because Zeta is a really good synchro that you can make on your opponent's turn to stop them from attacking into the Arclight, so that you just keep the floodgate, because this card is disgusting. It really is. And that's the deck profile, you guys. I really hope that you enjoyed it. You guys definitely got to pick up CHERUBINIs and play it in the future. NEEDLFIBER is probably going to make people that don't even play CHERUBINIs try CHERUBINIs, but I really feel like NEEDLFIBER is just going to be in every deck besides the deck it was meant for. I'm fine with that because I'm guilty of playing generic cards outside the archetype too. But I will say NEEDLFIBER is so disgusting in this deck right here. Thank you guys for watching the profile. God bless you. Make good choices. Don't hurt your brain cells. Stay tuned for future content and be safe, yo. Peace.